Ayanna Blake had just transferred to Meadow Ridge High. She came from a part of the city most of these kids only whispered about, a place where you learn fast that talking back could get you jumped and looking soft could get you hurt. She was a fighter, but the bullies didn't see that. They saw a quiet black girl, a target for their cruel games. So they came at her, escalating the bullying every day. Then, one afternoon, they came with scissors and a plan to get a reaction. Laughter followed. Someone said it was just a joke. The teacher looked away. The room went still. But Ayanna didn't. They thought she was soft. They thought she'd take it. They were wrong. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you're watching from and make sure to subscribe. The sun was too bright for a Monday, washing out the sky in a pale, indifferent blue that made the town feel sterile, untouched, as if everything here had been carefully arranged and scrubbed before the first bell ever rang. Ayanna Blake sat in the back seat of her mother's Honda, watching rows of identical houses slide past the window, each one with trimmed hedges and polished SUVs, like they were all trying to out-suburb each other. Her mother hadn't said much during the drive, and Ayanna hadn't expected her to. It had been that way for months, meals eaten in silence, doors closing a little too firmly, the kind of cold that didn't come from weather. As they pulled into the school's circular front lot, the building loomed clean and sharp, with banners hanging above the entrance reading ** Excellence through Community. **. Ayanna stared at those words a little longer than she meant to, her jaw clenched, her fingers curled against the cracked pleather of the door handle. Her mother adjusted the rearview mirror, checked her lipstick, and muttered something under her breath that sounded like * you'll be fine. * no hug, no good luck, no real glance in her direction, just a nod at the school and a subtle tap of fingernails on the steering wheel, like she was already thinking about the errands she had to run after. Ayanna stepped out without a word, the door shutting softly behind her, and for a moment, she just stood there, staring at the rows of students streaming through the front doors, backpacks slung carelessly, phones glowing in their hands, laughter echoing like they'd all known each other since kindergarten. No one looked her way. And yet, she could feel it, the sideways glances, the whisper that rippled through the air, even if no one actually spoke. She adjusted the strap on her backpack, lifted her chin just a little, and walked through the front entrance like it didn't matter. The first thing she noticed was how clean it all smelled, not the bleach and metal kind of clean she was used to, but a soft, lemon-scented air that felt curated. The hallways were wide, the lockers painted in two-tone blue, and the floors polished to a shine so smooth they reflected the white ceiling tiles. It was a different world here, quiet in the wrong places, loud in the wrong ones, and structured like a maze where everyone already knew the path but her. Her homeroom teacher, a thin, smile-plastered woman named Ms. Kendricks, greeted her with a tone just a little too sweet to be real. * Welcome, Ayanna. I've heard we've got a strong student joining us. * There was something about the way she said strong, the subtle lean on the word, that made Ayanna want to leave the room and never come back. She took the seat assigned to her in the back corner without comment, keeping her gaze fixed on the empty notebook in front of her while muffled whispers floated around her from the other students. The first few periods passed in a fog, teachers listing syllabi, classmates eyeing her like a new animal at the zoo. When lunch came, Ayanna carried her tray through the cafeteria like she was crossing open ground in enemy territory. Most of the tables were already clustered, laughter and stories flying fast between people who moved like they belonged. She spotted an empty spot near the edge of the room and made her way there, only to find someone sliding into its seconds before she reached it. No apologies, just a look that lingered too long. She moved again, finally settling at a lone seat near the exit, eating in silence. It was there that she saw them for the first time, Austin Reddle and his two shadows, Kyle and Brandon. They walked like they owned something, the kind of swagger that came from generations of being told they were the default. Their eyes scanned the cafeteria like they were deciding what to be amused by today. And when Austin's gaze landed on Ayanna, there was a flash of recognition, not the kind that said "I know you," but the kind that said *, "I've seen your type before." *. His smile was thin, teeth too perfect, and he nudged Brandon, who let out a low, amused whistle as their heads leaned together like they were sharing a private joke. She didn't look away. She didn't smile. She just stared back, blank and unblinking, until they moved on. The next day, it started small. Someone bumped her shoulder harder than necessary in the hallway. Someone else knocked her pencil off her desk with a casual flick. A snicker here, a whispered name there. Asterisk ghetto. She got attitude. Think she's tough, asterisk. Ayanna said nothing. She kept her hands folded neatly in her lap, her eyes on the clock, her mind retreating to the familiar rhythm of muscle memory, how to roll her shoulders, how to shift her stance, how to listen for footwork. She promised herself no fights. Not here. Not again. But there was something in the air, something low, slow, and crawling, that told her this wasn't going to stop. Not until someone made it stop. There was something different about the way the school breathed that second week, like the walls had quietly decided Ayanna Blake didn't belong and weren't interested in hiding it. The smiles grew tighter, the stares longer, and the air itself felt filtered, like someone had made sure her presence would always feel just slightly out of place. It didn't come all at once. It never did. But piece by piece, the message had begun to form, silent but unmistakable. You don't fit here. In chemistry class, someone behind her snorted after she answered a question correctly, followed by a whisper just loud enough to travel. Asterisk must have learned that in ed school. Asterisk. Ayanna paused only briefly, her pencil mid-stroke, before she continued writing. She didn't look back. Kyle, the one who'd muttered it, leaned toward Brandon and chuckled under his breath. Asterisk straight out of Compton over here solving equations. Asterisk. Brandon laughed. Asterisk yo, she probably got that answer trading crack for calculators. Asterisk. Ayanna heard every word. But she didn't flinch. She'd learned early that silence, when held just right, could be heavier than any insult. She tapped her pencil lightly against the desk once. Then again. The way she used to tap her fists against concrete before Darius made her wrap them up. Asterisk 1. 2. Still cold, asterisk. But ignoring them only made them braver. By gym class, the game had escalated. During basketball drills, Kyle shoved past her going for a rebound, throwing a shoulder hard enough to send her stumbling. Watch it, Queen Latifah, he sneered as he passed. Ayanna caught herself without falling, straightened slowly, looked right at him. Asterisk that's not even clever. Asterisk. Kyle blinked. Asterisk what? Asterisk. You're not funny, she added, turning away again. Just loud enough. It was the first time she'd said anything back, and it cracked the air like glass. For a moment, Kyle just stood there, the smirk stuck half-formed on his face. Brandon, behind him, gave a low asterisk goo. Asterisk while Austin, always nearby but never too close, tilted his head, watching from the bleachers with a faint smile. He didn't laugh. He just looked at Ayanna like she'd done something interesting. After class, as she walked back through the corridor toward her locker, Austin fell in step beside her like it had been planned. You got a little mouth on you, he said casually. Ayanna didn't break stride. Asterisk you got a lot of nothing coming out of yours. Asterisk. He laughed softly. Asterisk I see what this is. New girl trying to prove something. Asterisk. I'm not trying, she said, eyes straight ahead. Asterisk and I'm not new. Just relocated. Asterisk. Austin clicked his tongue. Asterisk where from? Asterisk. She didn't answer. He leaned in a little, dropping his voice. Asterisk bet it wasn't anywhere like this. Asterisk. This time, she looked at him, direct, unmoved, her gaze sharp as wire. Asterisk not even close. Asterisk. Austin's smile flickered at the edges, and for the briefest moment, something uncertain flashed in his eyes. Then he stepped back with a short laugh, raising both hands like he'd just been playing. Asterisk all right, tough girl. Let's see how long that fire lasts. Asterisk. The next morning, she opened her locker to find it had been stuffed with torn-up paper scraps, from what looked like old grocery ads and ripped notebook pages. At first glance, it seemed random. But as she pulled the clumps out, she saw it, black Sharpie across the torn edges, crude words scrawled across the chaos, asterisk go back. Nobody wants you here, asterisk. She stood there, motionless, papers fluttering at her feet. A few passing students noticed but didn't stop. One girl glanced, then looked away quickly. Another giggled under her breath and walked faster. Ayanna crouched down, gathered the papers in one hand, stuffed them deep into her backpack, and closed the locker with a soft, deliberate click. She didn't report it. Not yet. But someone had seen. Later that afternoon, as she waited for the bus, standing near the shadowed brick columns by the main entrance, a voice broke through the quiet, not stern, not invasive, just steady. Asterisk, you doing all right here? Asterisk. She turned to see Principal Hughes. He was tall, clean-cut, with skin as dark as her father's and eyes that seemed to carry entire stories without needing to tell them. He wore a charcoal suit and a quiet presence, like someone who had spent years learning when to speak and when to let silence do the heavy lifting. She gave a slight nod. Asterisk, I'm good. Asterisk. His gaze held hers for a moment longer. Asterisk, you sure? You're not invisible. Asterisk. I never said I was, she replied. He smiled faintly. Asterisk, no, you didn't. But I've seen that look before. Asterisk. She raised an eyebrow. Asterisk, what look is that? Asterisk. Asterisk, the one that says, I know exactly how far I can be pushed before someone learns they picked the wrong one. Asterisk. Ayanna's lips twitched just slightly. Asterisk, that's pretty specific. Asterisk. I've been here a while, he said simply. Asterisk, and I'm not new either. Asterisk. She glanced at him then, this man who wore his calm like armor, who hadn't come to offer pity or false comfort but something heavier. Respect. She nodded once. If anything crosses the line, he said, voice dropping slightly, asterisk, and you want it documented, you come to me. I'll handle it the right way. Asterisk. Asterisk, what's the right way? Asterisk. Asterisk, the way they don't expect. Asterisk. As the bus rumbled into view, Ayanna gave him one last look. Asterisk, thanks. Asterisk. He stepped aside and nodded. Asterisk, anytime, Ms. Blake. Asterisk. She boarded the bus in silence, dropped into the seat beside the window, and let the weight of the day settle across her shoulders like wet cloth. She could feel it now, rising beneath her skin, not fear, not pain, but something colder. Something older. They thought she'd just keep absorbing it. But they hadn't taken anything from her yet. Not really. Not yet. It happened on a Wednesday, during that slow stretch of the week where the school's rhythm dragged a little, like even time itself was tired. The sky outside was the kind of dull gray that pressed down on everything, and inside, the hallways felt strangely quiet, like the air had forgotten how to move. Ayanna felt it the moment she walked through the front doors. She didn't have a word for it, but it clung to her skin, tight, invisible, heavy. She caught them watching her early that day, first in the hallway near her locker, where Austin leaned against the metal like he had nowhere better to be, thumbs tapping casually at his phone, eyes flicking toward her just long enough to make it known. Then during third period, when Brandon kept turning halfway in his seat, whispering to Kyle, both of them smirking like boys who already knew how the day would end. Their laughter was low, but it carried. By fourth period, Ayanna had already started counting the ways they were circling her without touching, whispers behind her, laughter that started too late, people turning to look, then looking away like they didn't want to get involved. There were no names this time, no shoves, just eyes. Watching. Measuring. The warning came in the form of silence. It was during sixth period art class that it finally happened. The class had been given a creative freedom hour. Students were scattered across the room with sketch pads, watercolors, glue sticks, and those school-issued scissors with metal blades dulled just enough to seem harmless. The teacher, Ms. Henley, was in the corner talking with a student about portfolio submissions while others chatted softly or stared blankly at their drawings, more focused on the clock than the paper. Ayanna was seated near the back, her chair angled toward the window, her pencil tracing soft lines on the blank page in front of her. She wasn't drawing anything in particular, just shapes, movement, the act of staying occupied. She didn't notice Brandon move behind her. She didn't hear the blade. It happened fast, so fast she didn't register what had been done until it was too late. There was the faint sound of scissors opening and closing, the whisper of hair being sliced, and then the sharp tug near her scalp that made her freeze, not from pain, but instinct. She reached up slowly, her fingers brushing the back of her head. Her hand came away with frayed ends. Her braid, her thick, tightly woven braid, had been cut. The strands fell loosely in her hand, the blunt edge of the severed weave brushing her palm like it didn't understand what had happened either. Behind her, Brandon was laughing. Yo, oh my God. Kyle gasped from across the table. Did you just? Dude, that's messed up. Brandon held up the severed braid like it was a trophy, swinging it slightly. I thought she might want to lighten up the load. This stuff's heavy, right? Ayanna didn't turn around. She stared at the braid in her hand, unmoving. Austin's voice came from across the room, louder now, just theatrical enough to draw attention. Damn, I didn't think you'd actually do it. That's bold. You think she's going to cry? More laughter followed, soft gasps, shocked whispers, the kind that wrapped around the edges of cruelty and made it into entertainment. Ayanna still hadn't moved. She was staring not at the hair, but past it, through it, at something far away and distant, her body gone still and quiet in a way that made the sound of laughter seem too sharp, too loud. Brandon's voice dropped closer again, just behind her ear. Don't take it personal. Just a little joke. You're always so serious, figured you needed a makeover. That was when she stood. The chair scraped slowly against the floor, and the sound was enough to break the rhythm of laughter in the room. She didn't speak. She didn't scream. She simply rose from her seat, turned to face him, and looked down at the braid in his hand. Brandon blinked. Relax, he said, suddenly unsure. It's not like it was real or anything. Ayanna stared at him, expression unreadable. You think that makes it better? Kyle stepped forward quickly, trying to regain momentum. Look, no one's trying to hurt feelings. It's just hair, right? Austin, still lounging in his chair nearby, leaned back and crossed his arms. You make it a statement. You wear it like armor. People are going to test it. That's just how it goes. Ayanna looked at him now, her voice calm. Too calm. You think this is about hair? Austin smirked. Isn't it? She took one step forward. Then another. The silence around her growing denser with every movement. Brandon had stopped laughing now, his hand lowered, the braid dropped to the floor. Miss Henley finally looked up, her face twisting in slow confusion as she glanced between them. Is something going on? No one answered. Ayanna's voice, when it came, was low and steady. You don't get to touch me. You don't get to take something from me and call it a joke. Brandon held up his hands. Okay, just calm down. But Ayanna wasn't angry. Not in the way they expected. She wasn't yelling. She wasn't shaking. She wasn't crumbling into tears like they might have imagined when they planned this, grinning over some group text, sure she'd run out of the room in shame. She was quiet. Controlled. Watching. And as she took another slow step toward Brandon, something in his face shifted, his grin faltering, his voice catching, the realization setting in that this wasn't over. It had just begun. For a moment, it was as if the entire room had forgotten how to breathe. The braid lay curled on the floor like something discarded, like roadkill in the middle of a conversation no one wanted to finish. Miss Henley was still frozen behind her desk, eyes flicking between faces, trying to make sense of what had just happened, but not moving. Not intervening. Not yet. Ayanna stood at the center of the silence, her hands still at her sides, her back straight, her head tilted slightly toward Brandon, who had started stepping away now, as if the distance between them could somehow erase what he'd done. But she wasn't walking toward him anymore. She was calculating. The memory of her cousin's voice echoed somewhere deep in her ribs. Asterisk, don't move first unless you're forced. But when you do, finish it fast and clean. Asterisk. She could still feel the sting on the back of her scalp where the braid had been severed, a hot throb of humiliation pulsing against her skin. She didn't touch it again. She didn't need to. The damage was done. And the whole room had seen it. Kyle said something low, trying to pull Brandon away. Asterisk, dude, chill, let's go. She's freaking out. Asterisk. But Brandon didn't move. Austin stayed leaned against the back table, arms folded, his eyes sharp now, no more laughter in them, only that weary sort of curiosity, like he'd misjudged something and wasn't quite sure how to fix it. Ayanna finally stepped forward, slow and measured, her gaze locked on Brandon. He raised a hand like he meant to explain. Asterisk, look, I said I was sorry, okay? It was just hair. It's not like we, asterisk. Her fist connected before he finished. There was no hesitation. No telegraph. Just a brutal, sudden snap of her shoulder and a clean right hook that landed square against his cheekbone. The sound was sharp and ugly, cartilage cracking, followed by the dull thud of his body hitting the art table behind him. The table rocked violently, jars of paint scattering, students gasping as Brandon dropped, stunned and crumpled, clutching his face with both hands as blood poured from his nose. Miss Henley screamed something now, but Ayanna had already moved. Kyle lunged toward her, but she shifted sideways and grabbed his arm mid-swing, twisting his wrist back and slamming his elbow down across the edge of the table. He shrieked, buckled, then dropped with a choked moan as he cradled his arm, tears springing to his eyes as he slumped against the floor. Austin moved next, not to fight, but to step between them, hands lifted. Asterisk, all right, back up. You made your point. You win. Asterisk. Ayanna didn't blink. No, she said, her voice colder than steel. Asterisk, you don't get to talk. Asterisk. Austin's mouth twitched, but he didn't push it. He took a slow step back, hands still raised, but his face was different now. The arrogance was gone. What remained was recognition, quiet, tense, and edged with fear. A group of students backed toward the door. Some watched with wide eyes. Others pulled out their phones, fumbling to record, unsure if they should help or hide. Ms. Henley finally snapped out of it, reaching for the intercom button at her desk and shouting down the hallway, asterisk, we need assistance in room 316, right now. Security, now. Asterisk. Ayanna stood in the center of the wreckage, paint bottles overturned, chairs knocked sideways, paper scattered like fallen leaves. She wasn't breathing hard. She wasn't flushed or panicked. She was still. Her eyes scanned the room slowly, then dropped to the braid on the floor. She picked it up, held it in her hands like something sacred, then turned and walked out. She didn't run. She didn't speak. She walked calmly through the door and into the hallway, her shoes echoing against the linoleum with a rhythm that seemed too even for what had just happened. She could hear chaos building behind her, students shouting, footsteps pounding, Miss Henley's voice shrill with panic, but Ayanna didn't stop. She moved down the corridor like she already knew where she'd be taken, already knew what they would say, already knew that none of it mattered. By the time the assistant principal rounded the corner with 2 campus officers in tow, she was waiting. She stood quietly at the edge of the stairwell, hands behind her back, the severed braid dangling loosely from her grip. They shouted for her to freeze. She didn't move. They rushed up, voices raised, hands half reaching for restraints, but it wasn't necessary. She didn't resist when they flanked her. She didn't protest as they walked her toward the main office. She didn't speak as they asked her what happened. She just kept her eyes ahead, jaw set, her silence heavy enough to hush the hallway around them. Word had already spread by the time she arrived at the front office. Students were lined against the walls, pretending to look at posters, straining to hear through the door. Someone whispered her name. Someone else muttered asterisk, she snapped. Asterisk, a third voice said, asterisk, they cut her hair. Asterisk. And that, more than anything else, rippled through the crowd like static. Inside the principal's office, Darnell Hughes stood waiting. He didn't look surprised when they walked her in. He was black, tall, his presence quiet but unshakable, dressed in dark slacks and a gray button-up with sleeves rolled to the elbows. He dismissed the security staff with a brief nod. "Close the door," he said. They hesitated. Asterisk, "She's not going anywhere." "You can close it." Asterisk. The door shut with a soft click. Principal Hughes studied her for a long moment, then gestured to the chair across from his desk. Asterisk, "Sit down, Ayanna." Asterisk. She did. The office was quiet, sealed off from the chaos outside. The door closed with purpose, not formality. Ayanna sat rigid in the chair across from Principal Hughes's desk, the severed braid still in her hand, her fingers curled tightly around it like she hadn't yet decided if it was something to protect or something to bury. The room smelled faintly of coffee and old paper, and outside, through the thick paneled window, she could see a few students lingering near the hallway corners, trying to pretend they weren't listening. Principal Hughes didn't look at the window. His gaze stayed on her. His elbows rested on the desk, hands folded, body still, not stiff, but deliberate, the way a man sits when he knows every word about to be spoken matters more than anything else that came before. "I read the report from the art teacher," he said quietly, his voice even. Asterisk, "She said you attacked 3 students. One's got a broken nose. Another's being sent for x-rays on his arm." Asterisk. Ayanna didn't respond. Her eyes dropped to the floor for a brief moment, not in shame, but in thought. Measured. Calm. Bracing for the storm she knew was coming. "Let me ask you again," Hughes continued, leaning forward slightly. Asterisk, "Why?" Asterisk. Ayanna's voice came softer this time, more tired than angry. Asterisk, "They cut my hair." Asterisk. He nodded, not with surprise, not as if the words startled him, but like they confirmed something he'd already suspected deep in his bones. Still, he let the silence hang a moment longer, studying her with a patience that didn't feel like judgment. "I figured that's what it was," he said finally. Asterisk, "I watched the security feed from the hallway after you walked out. You didn't run. You didn't resist. You waited. That's not the kind of reaction that comes from someone who just snapped." Asterisk. Her eyes flicked up now, meeting his, not with challenge, but curiosity. She hadn't expected that, not from an administrator, not from an adult in a pressed shirt and clean office who could have buried her in a dozen disciplinary buzzwords and official protocols by now. Most people, he continued, asterisk, when they hear a black girl fought 3 white boys and sent 2 of them to the nurse, they think one thing. They think violence. They think rage. They think threat. Asterisk. "I know," she said, her voice flat. Asterisk, "They always do." Asterisk. "But when I hear it," he said, his tone lowering, growing slower, asterisk, "I start asking what happened before the fight. I ask what didn't get recorded, what got laughed off, what teachers missed or ignored. And most of the time, if I'm being honest," asterisk, he exhaled slowly, his jaw tightening. Asterisk, "No one wants those questions answered." Asterisk. Ayanna sat back in the chair, still holding the braid. "I didn't want to fight," she said after a beat. Asterisk, "I wanted to finish the day. Go home. Breathe. That's all." Asterisk. Asterisk, "Then why didn't you walk away?" Asterisk. She looked at him, her eyes dry, her mouth pulled tight against the rising heat in her throat. Asterisk, "Because I've walked away 100 times. Because I've ignored the comments, the little things, the accidents. Because I sat still and didn't react, and it only made them push harder. Laugh louder. Get bolder." Asterisk, she opened her palm then, showing him the frayed, uneven end of the braid. Asterisk, "And then they took this." Asterisk. Principal Hughes stared at the braid, his expression unreadable. Asterisk, "It wasn't just hair." Asterisk. "No," she said. Asterisk, "It never is." Asterisk. There was a long pause. He leaned back slowly in his chair, exhaled again, then spoke with the kind of quiet that carried more weight than yelling ever could. Asterisk, "My grandmother used to braid my cousin's hair every Sunday. Said it was part of her crown. Said the world would try to rip it off one way or another, through policies, through stares, through silence. But if you wore it with pride, if you knew what it meant, then nobody could take it without a fight. Asterisk. Ayanna didn't smile, but something in her shoulders loosened slightly. I have to suspend you, he said, voice steady now. Asterisk 3 days out of school. Asterisk. I figured, she replied. But I'm not expelling you, he added quickly. Asterisk they're going to push for that. Parents. Board members. Maybe even the district. They're going to say you're a danger, that you need to be removed. Asterisk. Ayanna's lips pressed together. And when they do, he said, asterisk I'm going to ask for the footage from inside that classroom. I'm going to file a report of my own. I'm going to start asking questions that make people uncomfortable. Asterisk. She watched him carefully. Asterisk why? Asterisk. Because, he said slowly, asterisk I've spent my whole life walking the line between doing the job they gave me and doing the job that matters. And today, I've decided those two things don't have to be different anymore. Asterisk. He reached into his drawer and pulled out a plain manila envelope, sliding it across the desk. Asterisk inside is your suspension paperwork. You'll sign it. I'll file it. And you'll go home. Asterisk. She took the envelope but didn't open it. But that's not the end of this, he said. Asterisk you understand me? Asterisk. She nodded once, slowly. You've been fighting alone since the first day you walked in here, he said. Asterisk you don't have to anymore. Asterisk. Her grip loosened on the braid just slightly, as if some part of her was starting to believe him. And for the first time since she'd stepped into that room, she said something that sounded almost like hope. Asterisk okay. Asterisk. The morning after the incident, the school parking lot filled earlier than usual. The sky was still pale with sunrise when the first black SUV rolled up to the administration building, followed by a silver Lexus and a polished white BMW with tinted windows that didn't belong to any teacher on staff. They came in waves, buttoned up and loud in that quiet, controlled way, the kind of presence that didn't need to shout to take up space. They were the kind of parents who didn't ask questions. They arrived expecting explanations, apologies, and consequences. Principal Hughes stood at the edge of the hallway, watching the storm gather through the tall windows by the main entrance. He didn't move right away. He sipped his coffee slowly, unmoved by the urgency of the front desk's frantic voice through the intercom. Asterisk they're here, sir. Should we bring in a mediator? Do you want backup from the board? Asterisk. He pressed the button gently, his voice calm. Asterisk no. Send them to the conference room. I'll be there shortly. Asterisk. When he stepped into the room, they were already standing, all three fathers, all three mothers, expensive coats slung over chairs, polished watches glinting beneath the soft ceiling lights. They looked at him the way corporate executives look at a man they've already decided is replaceable. One of the mothers, a blonde in a red blazer and pearl necklace, had her arms crossed and lips pursed so tightly they looked bloodless. Her eyes locked on him the moment he entered. You're Principal Hughes, she said. It wasn't a question. I am, he replied, nodding once. They didn't sit down. And neither did he. The silence stretched between them until the tallest of the men, a broad-shouldered figure in a tailored suit and tan trench coat, took a step forward. Let's skip the pleasantries, he said. Asterisk my son came home with a busted nose and a black eye. You want to explain to me why the girl who did it isn't in a holding cell? Asterisk. She was suspended, Hughes replied evenly. Asterisk 3 days out of school. Standard protocol for physical altercations resulting in injury. Asterisk. That wasn't an altercation, the blonde woman snapped. Asterisk it was a savage attack. Asterisk. No, Hughes said calmly. Asterisk it was a response. Asterisk. The room tensed. Asterisk excuse me? Asterisk another father said, Brandon's, if Hughes remembered correctly. Asterisk you're defending her? Asterisk. I'm stating the facts, Hughes said, his voice low but firm. Asterisk your sons approached a student during class, used a pair of school-issued scissors to cut her hair without her consent, and then publicly mocked her afterward. That's assault. That's humiliation. That's emotional violence. Asterisk he paused. Asterisk and it provoked a physical response. Asterisk. You don't understand what you're saying, the blonde woman hissed. Asterisk you're trying to justify violence against white students. Asterisk. No, Hughes said, his tone sharpening just slightly. Asterisk I'm trying to justify truth. Asterisk. One of the men stepped closer, his voice dropping into something quieter but far more dangerous. Asterisk we've been generous with this school. With this district. I sit on the school board. My firm sponsors your athletics department. And now my son is afraid to come to school because you're allowing some girl with a chip on her shoulder to, asterisk. I'm allowing her to attend a school where she was enrolled, Hughes interrupted, his voice clear now, cutting through the layered entitlement with the precision of a scalpel. Asterisk where she has every right to be. And where she should have been protected from the moment she arrived. Asterisk. He leaned forward slightly, his gaze unwavering. Asterisk you're not angry because your sons were attacked. You're angry because someone fought back. And you weren't prepared for what that looked like. Asterisk. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was volatile, vibrating just under the surface with the barely restrained fury of people who'd spent their entire lives being listened to. One of the mothers shook her head slowly, speaking now with the cold clarity of someone who knew where her power came from. Asterisk you realize this is going to escalate, don't you? We're not going to let this go. Not after what she did. Not after the media gets wind of it. Asterisk. I'm counting on it, Hughes said simply. They blinked, confused. He stepped around the conference table now, moving slowly, deliberately, his tone softening just enough to force them to lean in. Asterisk because once the media gets wind of it, they'll also get the footage of 3 boys surrounding a girl in class, cutting her hair, laughing, threatening. Once the media sees that tape, I'm willing to bet the public will understand why that girl defended herself. Asterisk. He paused. Asterisk and if not the media, then the courts. Asterisk. You wouldn't, one of them growled. I already have, he replied. Asterisk the footage is being reviewed by the district superintendent as we speak. Asterisk. He folded his arms. Asterisk so if you're here to file complaints, by all means, I'll add them to the documentation. But if you're here to intimidate me, you're wasting your time. Asterisk. One of the fathers pointed a finger. Asterisk you'll lose your job over this. Asterisk. Hughes smiled faintly. Asterisk if I do, it'll be doing the right thing. Asterisk. They didn't respond to that, not with words. Instead, they gathered their coats in silence, their movements stiff with the kind of anger that came from knowing they hadn't won. The blonde mother reached the door last.